He's coming late. Yeah, my sister. So I'm putting him in person so I don't forget later.
The meeting will come to order. Thank you all for being here. All right, happy President's Day, by the way. All right. Does anyone have corrections to the minutes from last meeting? Jimmy?
I would like to be added to people that have an excused absence.
Right.
I'm just not
Okay.
No, I'm also sort of like to be added to that list.
All right. Is anyone opposed to adding?
I would also like to be added to that.
Okay. Is anybody opposed to adding Jimmy, Matthew, and what's your name? Akash to the excused absence list? The only way to say no, basically, is to a secondary amendment.
I just have a question, Matthew. I thought you showed up late last year.
Oh, no, just put against excuse.
Everyone cool with that? Okay, it is adopted. So, just add those. All right. Anybody else have an amendment to the minutes? Okay, cool. So the minutes are approved as amended. All right. Is there anyone here for public forum that would like to speak to everybody? Nobody? All righty, then we will get into reports. All right, speaker report. I have 4 things: attendance, senator initiatives, good vibes. Also, I'm appointing a speaker pro tempore. So first, thank you guys for being here. A lot of people aren't showing up to meetings, and when they aren't, they're sending excuses too late. Like today, Maddie got 3 excuses within 24 hours. And our bylaws say that you have to do it 24 hours beforehand. That just makes our lives easier, so remember to do that. Although, thank you guys for being here. That doesn't apply to me this week. Secondly, all of you guys in your senator requirements, you have to give status updates and do monthly initiatives. And you email those initiatives to the speaker alias, which is at the bottom, and not a single person has done that so far. So I'm going to read section 2.1b6 of our bylaws. It says, a senator must work on initiatives and pass a monthly status update. An initiative shall be defined as a goal that benefits the student body. The status update shall consist of 1, evidence that the senator has completed or attempted to complete their initiative of the current month. 2, a declaration of a new initiative or redeclaration of a current initiative for the next month. A senator must submit a status update to the Oversight Committee, which is the email, in the last 7 days before the end of the month. The status update shall require a majority affirmative vote by the members of the Oversight Committee to pass. If the status update fails to pass, then the senator may resubmit their status update within 3 days of notification of their failure to pass. If a senator fails to have their status update passed by the Oversight Committee after the 4th day of the next month, the failure is final. Okay, so Maddie, would they talk to you? Or I guess they would talk to me probably. Talk to Oversight Committee. I'm chairing it, so just email me if you need any more like specifics or like ideas and stuff, and we can brainstorm. But that is one of your requirements as a senator. Okay, I hope that was clear. Also, good vibes. Last meeting, people came up to me and they were like, wow, you were really like heavy-handed, which I was. I apologize for that. I want this to be like lighter and everything. So I'm gonna start being more spontaneous and wearing like cool outfits and doing maybe like accents up here. And to be, next week I'll wear a giraffe onesie, and it'll be great. And it'll be very unpredictable. Also, we should have done this first meeting, but I forgot. I have to appoint a speaker pro tempore, so when I'm not here, they will be speaker. And y'all don't have to confirm it. It just is automatically the case when I appoint someone. I'm appointing Liam McMurtry. So, congratulations. If I die, he will be standing up here. Okay. And that? Yeah, that's it. I'm Dylan Moon, by the way. That's my email, or you can message me in Slack. All right, rules.
Alrighty. Rules has some stuff to talk about. So, update, rules chair. Featuring Akash Rana as our only primary member. The only person that showed up to our scheduled meeting from the rules committee. So, we are having an official review of the D&I proclamation tomorrow at 4:30 in the Hayden Lounge. I did meet with Ryan, Tom and I. Where are you, Ryan Tom? Where are you, Ryan Tom? So, he and I met with Nasir and Kesha earlier at 5 to go over quite a few preliminary items. We got a lot done. But the public forum goes on because there are some things that we didn't get to and couldn't get to in a 2-hour interval. We finally have access to a GitHub repository for Constitution and bylaws, so we have a way to continuously update the bylaws. I will post a link there when Maddie and I still have to meet. So we will get all of that sorted, squared away, and we'll go ahead with getting everything sorted for everybody so we can actually figure out what our governing documents are. And a reminder to all RSOs to submit governing documents to the SGA forms through DUCA.
Cool, thank you. Student interests.
Oh, okay. So we haven't met since the last Senate meeting, but the election season for replacing the graduating subcommittee heads has started. Sad face. Today we had the professional societies election, and our new subcommittee head for professional societies is Christina Trinidad. She's not here, but yay. And then the culture one will be happening in 2 weeks. 2 Wednesdays from now.
Thank you. Public relations.
So PR is having a meeting this Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. in Madison Madison. Join us. We're going to discuss some goals for this semester and figure out how to better promote vacancies. There's a poster right there that I made. We're going superhero themed for round 2. We don't have superpowers. We have passion. Help us improve the school. Share this on your Instagram stories. That'll be super cool. And you can find it in the Slack channel, Facebook, Instagram. And just post on your stories. Thanks.
Cool, good stuff.
Hi
Campus life.
everyone. To aid my transition, I'm meeting with Angelo, the president of SEEPS, and trying to meet with Dean Nielsen, but he hasn't gotten back to me. They were 2 of John's main contacts, so I'm just going to see what's going on with them. And our first meeting is going to be Wednesday at 9 p.m. in the Burchard Team Room.
Great. Committee on Academic Rights.
Hey up. I have some new committee members, so if you're part of that group, whether you're primary or secondary, please fill out the doodle I sent out. It's in the Slack, so we can figure out a time to meet. And otherwise, we had a pretty productive meeting with Dean Zhu for the Undergraduate Student Advisory Board this past week. So if you have any questions about that, anything you want me to bring up at those meetings, we can talk to me.
Great. Curriculum Advancement Committee.
I mean, not really much went on the past week. We're meeting again Wednesday at 3. Got some new committee members, maybe Sarah, if you're here or not, but hopefully y'all can make it. Again, student advisory board meeting, pretty routine. Again, if you want me to bring up something, let me know. Except aside from the fact that teams seem to partway through, which kind of sucks, but
Great. Thank you. Budget Committee.
I don't know the operating budget yet. I emailed Lillian. She has not yet emailed me back. So requested was that amount, $2,866.89. Recommended by the budget committee is $2,827.40. That's it. Presentation's right there.
Health and Wellness.
Melanie's not here. I don't know if it's been updated. Does anyone know? Okay.
Yeah, so we tried to meet with Dean Nielsen, and he didn't answer our email about the hand sanitizer stations. So we went to his office, and he also didn't let us in. So we're gonna try to meet with him again. I don't know what else we can do. That's it.
All right, thank you. Government and Community Relations.
So we had our first meeting today, and it was a lot of fun. Established
established some goals and initiatives, and we discussed legislation that's being voted on this week by the New Jersey Senate, but we're not going to worry about it until it reaches the New Jersey House. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Diversity and inclusion.
Hi, we're voting tonight. The thing we've been working on for a month and a half now. We're super proud of all the work we've accomplished. We did a lot in just that short amount of time. We were able to survey about a quarter of the undergraduate student body, which is amazing. We worked really hard on this proclamation. We had a time crunch because of deadlines and postal administration, but I still think it came out pretty good. We met the rules committee and mine earlier, and we're able to implement any last minute changes. Yeah, we're just looking past it.
No update. Auditing committee.
We are now a real standing committee, so yay! First thing on the agenda, we need members. As per our bylaws, the VPF and VPSI are automatically members, so that means we need 3 more in order to be filled. If you are interested in being a member, please reach out to Ryan. As per the bylaws, the VPO has to nominate members and then they're approved by the Senate.
Thank you. Entertainment committee.
Okay. For EC, this Friday is Founders Day Ball, I believe. So that's exciting. So get excited for that. There's Tech Fest coming up. So the save the date is May 4th. The headliner is going to be announced soon. So get excited for that also. You all look really excited tonight. So. And then past events, there wasn't anything last week. And then upcoming events, like I said, Founders Day. And then 2 events you could sign up Monday night at 10, Matt Nathanson and King Kong.
Great. Thank you. Ad hoc housing committee.
So we haven't had another meeting yet. Our next one is the 25th because we did not have school today. We're moving forward with our goals to make documents to put on Stephen's website and also to host some seminars. So far we've made 3 preliminary documents. Shout out to Veronica for making those. Anyone wants to help make documents, there's a tracking thing right there. What we need.
Great. Website committee.
Oh, it's me again. So I pretty much finished the framework of the website. He's pulling it up right now. Basically, all the pages are there. They don't have content in them, but they're there. They work. All we need to do is put content in them, but everything's there. Since I've pretty much finished this, I'm going to resign as chair of the website. I don't know how to officially do that, but I'm no longer doing it.
Do you feel your... Okay, let's talk about that. Cool, so noted. Thank you. Arts and music, no update. Electronics and gaming, no update. Culture
You
subcommittee,
skipped
no
over.
update. Media report.
I think you.
Sorry. Anyone here for media?
Read the statement.
Yeah, Julian?
Russia's website is up. What is that?
Heck yeah. Right, thank you. Non-RSO subcommittee, no update. Professional societies.
Caught me updating my slide, I'm sorry. Forgot to do that. But anyway, Tia Trinidad will be the new head of this professional society subcommittee. I will update this with events for the week after, by the time the meeting's done. But yeah, I'm out in March. It's been awesome. Cool.
Cool, thank you. Recreation, no update. Religious and faith-based subcommittee. No update. Service subcommittee, no update. No update for special interests. President?
Jason had to go home for some sort of, I don't know what happened, something happened, so I'm going to read his slides. He'll hopefully be here soon. Not new news, same stuff as last week, I think. We're looking at committees within the SGA as a cabinet to see what can be condensed. Registration, academic break, I'll talk about in my slides. Senior design, again, he's looking at that. He's also still doing the meeting with every department at Stevens. New news, engineering curriculum, I'll talk about that in my slide. We still need a parliamentarian, so if you know anyone that's interested, tell them to reach out. We turned our SGA office into the religious space, so they have something for now, so there's that. The Stevens, they're doing the video he was talking about in the Slack on Wednesday at 4. I think you can still reach out to him if you wanted to be in the video. Dylan talked about senator initiatives, and office hours still on Wednesdays.
Great, thank you. VPO.
Alright. So we need an audit committee, those 3 people, as Liam mentioned. If you're interested, please reach out. He said some people had talked to him, so if you want to do it, just let me know. We can talk real quick. Welcome new senators. Reach out to me for your committee assignments. We can grab coffee or something, talk about it. I can fill you guys in on what's going on. Other than that, update on the Greek life housing stuff. So for students that are or not necessarily freshmen, but new members in Greek life and had signed up for Stevens housing, but are able to get a spot in Greek housing, Res Life has said that they will waive the penalty fee for withdrawing from Res Life housing up until April 30th if they decide to do so. So that shouldn't be an issue. Still trying to plan that meeting with George Calhoun. It's hard to get a hold of him. Other than that, let's try and set up a restructuring discussion meeting this week. I know there was some good discussion last weekend. So join the channel if you're interested, and we can plan when we're going to do that. I'll talk with Jason as well as to what his schedule looks like so we can figure a time. And then meeting today with D&I and rules, I thought it went pretty well. Essentially, just so everybody's not confused, from what we found in the bylaws, it looks like we can still vote on it despite the fact that rules called for a review. So I believe Nasir and Kesha have worked on some changes. Hopefully that outlines as much as we can. And I believe they said after talking to some of the higher ups, they were happy with the way that the proclamation stands. So I think it's in a good enough spot right now that we should probably pass it, just so that for time sensitive purposes, the school doesn't designate the space to something else for that. Other than that, Slack's messy. Please use Slack for business. Don't put your crap in there. That's everybody, so try and use threads. If you guys want to BS, keep it to the random chat or whatever it is. But try and use it for its purpose. And then other than that, I had a meeting with a concerned student talking about some of their relation. They work closely with some professors on research and stuff, just talking about how Stevens has not supported professors as they wish to be with intellectual property, various research, stuff like that. So took that into account. We'll be kind of working that into our SFA debate with student faculty relations. And yes, I am drinking a gallon of milk. So if you have any questions, reach out about that. That's it for me.
Thank you. UPSI?
So I had a club sports meeting with John Marizzi, Russ Rogers, and the club sports subcommittee head. It went pretty well, I think. It was progress towards improved communication, which seems to be the largest issue regarding club sports. Other than that, the new organization process, interviews are starting this week, hopefully, assuming that my doodle is filled out by the right people. But if you apply, emails will be sent out soon about that. And then next week, Attila Entrepreneurs is looking to present to the Senate for full status, so watch out for that. The inbox buzz phrases of the week are, where is my stuff? And then I reply, with Humphrey's basement, but only during work hours, because you need an OSL escort. Yeah, and OSL is only open from 9 to 5, yes.
Is the doodle only for administrators? Or
Yes. Yeah, you guys are, if you filled out the application, you're fine, because you had your availabilities there. Oh, and then the quote of the week. The handbook is a living document, constantly evolving. John Marizzi. That's it.
Great, thank you. EPS?
Working on updating the financial policy, especially the conference thing. It's not really rewriting it, it's more just brushing up what was there. I'm Joe Biden, by the way. Hello, my lovely presidents. Please don't break budgeting rules. Please. It's really ticking me off. Let's get this auditing going. I'm excited for the auditing committee because we're going to be able to, it's not like to be scary, it's just to like help you out. It's like a big brother to you. Not like from the book. Still working on a folder of like general information for treasurers to have. Big budget meeting is in Fielding, April 14th. Time to be determined. That should have been time. Yeah, that's fun. It's a beautiful budget meeting. There's a puppy in my apartment. That's Riley, and that's my actual dog. They're gonna meet at some point because I'm gonna bring my dog. That's it.
Thank you. Vice President of Academic Affairs.
All right, what's up, everyone? Last week, a lot of things going on. The SES Curriculum Review Committee, basically what that is it's representatives from each major within SES. They are looking at the curriculum as a whole on the engineering and science side and seeing kind of what changes can be made, what needs to be updated. They met last week. They had a lot of ideas, so if anyone's interested in hearing what they were talking about, come talk to me. I'll let you know. And then there's another meeting for that this week as well. Academic Operations and Affairs Committee, they are a committee of the Faculty Senate, actually, that I have to go to, and they talked about a lot of stuff that doesn't really pertain to us, but the one thing that did is they are trying to change academic calendar. What they want to do is, instead of having 2 weeks of finals, 1 week of finals with 3-hour blocks. If anyone feels strongly about this, you should let me know, because they wanted to know how students felt about it. Their kind of whole goal with this was to get 2 more weeks added on to the summer, so we're more in line with other research institutions like us. Gives us 2 more weeks for internships, stuff like that. If anyone feels strongly about that, come talk to me. I'll bring it up to them. I also met with the provost this week. We talked about a couple things. Our time kind of got cut short, but we're going to be meeting again soon. I brought up the CS lab fees issue. He was not aware of it. Now he is, and they are looking into it. I'm going to check in again with Vice Provost Barisi this week to talk about that again, see where he's at with it. I also brought up academic break. There's a whole bunch of, they want to kind of let it settle and see how it goes. They don't know about adding the hour on anymore, so that's, again, evolving still. It's not going to happen next semester because the registrar has already started planning schedules and stuff. So if anything, it'll be the semester after that. And as Jimmy and Mark mentioned, the SSE Advisory Board met this week. Upcoming, I'm meeting with Kim Barletta tomorrow, talk about a bunch of stuff. I have yet to meet her, so I'll be meeting her first and foremost. The SSE will be having their first advisory board meeting on Wednesday. My meeting last week with Dean Thomas was canceled because of the snow day, so we are going to be meeting this week to talk about a multitude of things. I'm also trying to get a meeting with Associate Dean Murphy of the Business School so we can go through the 30 responses we got for the School of Business Advisory Board, so we can whittle that down to 8 and get the first meeting. And then, again, like I said, another SES curriculum review meeting this Wednesday.
Great, thank you. Secretary.
Hi everybody. Today, I'm Madison. James Madison, in case you didn't know who I was. Okay, so we have 3 new senators that we are welcoming today. So, Keisha, is that how you say it? Keisha, okay. Yes, Dan, we're gonna call it. Okay, we have Andrew, who's over here. Yay. And we have Kyle over here. So we are really excited to have you guys. That's us celebrating. So welcome. Okay, next is vacancy elections round 2. So nominations started today, and I don't know when they're ending. So I guess I just didn't, I think it's the 22nd. I'll just put another 2 there. Okay, perfect. I'm glad I finished that in front of everybody. I met with Chris about DuckLink, so that's gonna be reorganized. I'm gonna add a bunch of new folders and get rid of some stuff so that way it looks really uniform. I know we have a website right now. Thank you to Jason who made that. There you are. Yeah, thank you. But Chris wants us to use DuckLink as much as possible, so I'm gonna be putting all of our agendas up there and breaking them up into semesters. So that'll be soon, and then I'm going to be putting all of our governing documents on there once I meet with rules and get that squared away. And then districts, I promise you, they are coming. They take a lot longer to make than you would think, but I'll be sending them soon. So just keep sending stuff to your old districts for right now. And then I want us to all get dinner together as a Senate and friends. So fill out the doodle, and we will figure out the best time, and then from there the place. I think that's everything.
Great. And congratulations to Kesha, Andrew, and Kyle. Cool. SGA shoutouts. This is a hyperlink. It was really hidden, so if you have shoutouts, just like use this form.
I also don't have access to that form. So
Tell Maddie.
if you guys just aren't so inclined, you can also write it on the slide if you want.
Cool.
Or message me.
All right. Shout out to Rami for showing up to the last SGA meeting.
He's here right now.
He's not. Shout out to Rami for being humble enough to only get one shout out last week. Shout out to D&I for their hard work on the Intercultural Center proclamation. Shout out to Jake for his perfectionism. Shout out to Elena for the name tags. Shout out to everyone using a serif font in their slide. I wrote that one. I wrote serif. Talk to me about it. Okay. Shout out to new senators and happy President's Day to Jason. Why is he not here?
He's on his way.
He's at Babio. He's coming.
Yeah,
Oh,
when
he
it's
is?
on his way.
There it is. Papa Sands it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, who did that?
Oh, they changed the
I'm gonna
font?
revoke everybody's access.
He's scary. You don't want to change the font?
All right, great. Cool. Out of the way. Got that. Back to the agenda. Happy President's Day.
You want to give your update?
I kind of gave it, but
Yeah.
Have you go over it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red bills. Unread bills. All right. We are back to the docket. We don't have anything under red bills, so we are in unread bills territory. Mark.
I move to approve the recommendation of the budget committee.
Second.
All right, it is moved and seconded. There are no recommendations of the budget committee. Any parts of your
For the facts, especially just the facts.
Great.
Hello.
Right.
Can I just?
Elena?
Request, okay, so it's a negative for the operating budget because I don't know it yet, so I'm just keeping track of what we're spending, what we're saying yes on. So requested was $2,866.89 recommended by the budget committee, and I is $2,827.40. These are reallocations. You guys do not really vote on them, but you guys can see it. They're very low amounts. It's just stuff being moved. First day of far is by Amnesty, $24.90 for a Canvas subscription. Their subscription's ending this month. So they're getting a new one. This is for their conference, $400 for people for the conference. This is to pay off flight tickets for them. These people signed a contract that they are responsible for if they quit. They have to pay $100, or if they drop last minute. These contracts will be signed and sent to me. So I have their word. Can't really do anything after that. Next AFR, it is for GBM food. We amended the amount because of pizza is less expensive. They only $100 worth of pizzas. And then the potato bar was a different price. The amended amount was approved. APO is having midterm breakfast. It's $570 for food and light supplies that are giveaways. It's good attendance. Finals breakfast is the same thing as midterm breakfast. It's the second or last week of classes. They usually do that. That was approved. ASME asked for parts, about $92.17 worth of it. That was approved. SHRC, $458.71 for, was it a soldering iron? Yeah, it was for a soldering iron for an event they want to have.
Like a bunch of kids.
A bunch of people, they're getting a bunch of kits, and then they're going to reuse that for other events. They wanted storage bins for their very expensive equipment, and that deems necessary. That was approved. SITTV asked for batteries. These were budgeted for last semester, but they never came and they weren't ever processed, I'm guessing. That money was given back to SGA at the end of the semester, but now they're asking for money back to actually buy the batteries this time. So hopefully they get it through. That was approved. $65.98 for ink for their printer. Someone told me that like the print shop, they charge a lot per page, per sheet. I don't remember the amount, but this is definitely more worth it to just own your own ink. That was approved. Swix asked for $300 towards their series event, Coffee and Code. It's at local coffee shops. It's four times they do this event, so it's like a series. It continues on. It's $75 per one day of the series event. This was approved. That's it. Any questions? Yes.
For Sharks, $458 soldering iron.
It's not one soldering iron, it's a bunch of kits.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha,
Where is that?
gotcha. That was my question. So I was just
Yeah,
like,
it's like they're getting a bunch of kits so that they can have like a workshop, but then they're also gonna use the kits to like, for like their like projects and stuff, so it's not like one $400 soldering iron.
Okay, gotcha. Just making sure. 'Cause I heard something. I was like,
Nice soldering iron.
Something's not right.
Any other questions? Alina?
I found the charge for the paper. It's 28 cents for one black and white sheet, double-sided.
Right, there you go.
28 cents.
The print shop. Don't go there.
28.
Alright. We are in discussion or amendment time. Anyone have anything they want to say off their chest? Anyone have a severe issue? Great. Alright. Are we ready for the question? The question is on the approval of the recommendations of the Budget Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Great. The ayes have it, the motion passes, and the recommendations are approved. Alright, back to the docket. We're in new business / unread bills. Ms. Seer?
Can you please speak up?
The creation of an Intercultural Center.
Is there a second? I could
Second.
Just moved and seconded.
That was amazing.
I have. Before I say the amendments, a couple of things to say. First, I would like to thank, like from the bottom of my heart, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee and all the people involved. This has been like the most stressful month and a half of my life, but I think we did some amazing work on this campus. I think campus is talking a lot now about diversity and inclusion. We were able to get a quarter of the undergraduate student body to fill out that survey, which is amazing. And it was really for just us students. It wasn't really advertised by any of the administration, so proud of them for that. In terms of like this proclamation, I think under the time constraints, it came out really good. Sarah Klein told us we had to President's Day weekend to get this done, and we did. And I think we did a pretty good job. There were a lot of powerful people who looked at this document, helped us revise it a little. We had a meeting with Jake and Ryan and the bidders, so hopefully we were able to add what we can. So speaking on that, I have like the amendments, but I don't know how to do that. Like I moved to do the amendments that I emailed to the speaker.
Check your spam.
It went to the speaker, but I tried to email it to myself. Alright, hold on.
Nice profile.
Which one is it?
Baker.
Nope.
Is that the alias?
Nope, it is.
believe it's sgaspeaker.stevens@gmail.
Alright, I think I got it.
Dylan, we're just forwarding it to you.
Okay, thanks guys, I appreciate all the help. Alright, here we are. Alright,
One has the amendments and then the other one has like the final thing. So that one like the final.
Alright, so I got the final here. Oh gosh.
Like it has like the highlights of whatever I'll be doing. Like,
I know, I see this.
it's in the same chain.
This is the final thing? Do we want to look at the
Yeah,
amendments?
isn't it in that chain?
What are you saying?
In the chain.
The email chain.
It's not
I
there.
think that second tab is the thing.
Look, wait, go back.
Oh my god.
No, yeah, that's the thing he has open in the second tab.
There's something else.
It only has the one.
Okay, I'm gonna log into the thing.
No, it's the thing that's open in the other tab.
No.
This is the original one.
Yeah, that's the original. The other one is the one he.
He's asking for the one with the like amendments highlighted.
Okay. Alright, everybody. Order! Okay. So it looks like the one with the amendments didn't go through. I'm just going to
I
walk.
emailed it, sis.
Alright.
In the minutes.
To my email? Oh, I'm not logged into the. You know what? This is too complicated.
We can get this sorted out.
Hold your horses, guys.
When we do have
Just log back into your email. I forwarded it again to you.
It's too late. We're not even having a password saved here. Oh my god. Alright.
Did you forward the new one or just this one?
I forwarded the last one that Seer sent.
Yeah, I'm going to say email. I don't have a subject. I just emailed it, so it might have gotten spam.
No. What's your email, Dylan?
Moon1. Everyone wanna like try and hack my email now?
I just sent you the one that you just sent.
Alright,
If I can.
can we I'm getting the emails from
No, it's still fine.
I sent you a Oh, wait!
To not see.
It's the same one.
You put
It's
that
the
on.
same one.
It's the same one.
Alright.
Did other people get, does anybody else have access to aliens?
On Flex.
Carry on.
I'm gonna put on this flag.
It's probably for the best. Drop this in general.
That's a great idea. Just put in this flag.
That works too.
Okay. Alright. I'm getting a lot of emails right now.
I don't think so. I can say like, can't find a
Alright.
file or something. Email this kerfuffle.
This is cute.
Oh, I love elephants.
Aww.
You saw how lumpy elephants are?
She said I love elephants.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, look how lumpy.
Serious?
It's an official.
Then the general chat.
I really should.
Then the official chat.
It is now in 9 different locations.
Okay.
Alright. So it has been moved and seconded to consider the proposed amendments to Proclamation P19S001. Yasir.
Okay, so on the amendments, these amendments are ones that we came up with Jake and Ryan about like an hour and some change ago, and we tried to do as much as we can. There are also amendments in there from other people who reviewed the document, as well as like a powerful administrator within the hall offices. They can't be named due to confidential reasons. But yeah. These amendments, I don't know, it's just like random things here and there, just to make the document better.
Do we have time to go through all of them? because people haven't seen these yet.
To go through every single amendment?
Or if people have their computers and they want to like read through it first. What is the gist of the amendments for?
The gist of the amendment, there is no gist really, because it's like all over the place. It's just like things that people wanted to see. Like it's like clerical errors and also just like wording, content, little things like that. I think the majority of the amendments though, in that final version I sent you, so there are some last minute things we added later, but then we have to highlight, adds more stuff. But yeah, it's just like things in general.
Okay, so this is the final version you sent is more complete than this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess. It just doesn't have the highlights though, but it's the same. It's basically the same thing with the copyright. Wait, I think the final version, the only different thing is just the call to action section. It's like section 2, section C. We just like removed the we feels from that section and changed it to more like what do you call that? I don't know, just like not to we feel.
Section 1C is the section reflected.
Or 1C, but that's not in that document.
Okay.
It'll be in the final version.
Final version. Too soon to see anything. All right. We were in discussion on the amendments. Liam?
On the amendments, you're also proposing the creation of an Office of Diversity Education. Is that correct?
Yeah, the office already exists. Let me pull it up. So what he's referring to is in section 6, logistics of the center. In the third bullet point, yeah, the center will be overseen by an Office of Diversity Education. There already is an Office of Diversity Education, but we just kind of made it clear that like with the move to the Intercultural Center, the diversity education will not be like one of the offices like in conjunction with how student life stuff. It will exist as like its own like entity, but still underneath student affairs. But it's not really like a change, like a content change. It's more like a clerical change.
All right. Any more discussion on the amendment? Oh yeah, you can speak.
Okay.
Can you just say your name? I'm sorry.
Sorry. My name is Matthew Gatto.
Okay.
Treasurer for Torch Alliance. But if you look at the bottom of your references, Torch Alliance is referenced as I assume you retrieved your constitution, but I assume it wasn't from Mecca's document page. It's all the way at the bottom, last page.
More.
All right.
Blame Adrian, but it's okay. We're gonna fix. We can fix it now.
Like for Mecca, not for
Would you like to make a secondary amendment on this?
You can't do that though, right?
I don't think you can go.
Yeah, an amendment to the amendment.
Okay, so.
Please.
Like a dictation.
Yeah, you can make an amendment. Would you like to make one?
There's a unit in there.
Alright.
Just give us like 2 seconds.
Preach it up, bro.
Wait,
Alright,
Dylan,
everybody.
are we in the middle of a motion right now to amend it?
Yes, okay, everybody, please pay attention.
We're in a motion to amend.
We are in, alright, everybody. We are in the motion to amend the bill so it has these changes that are highlighted in green. We can make secondary amendments, meaning we can, like, whatever changes we make to these proposed amendments will then be smushed on top of the original bill if this passes. So if people have secondary amendments, feel free to make them. Okay.
If this passes, we can also make amendments to the document in addition to this.
Yes,
correct?
this is not the only, this is just one big set of like written out amendments.
Good job.
Why are we taking out the bit about ABET?
Oh yeah, so we're taking out ABAT after meeting with Jake and Ryan, they just like brought up a good point that like we just took like this one section of one of the bullet points they said in their accreditation. The bullet point is like anticipate and prepare for the changing environment and the future need of constituencies. We just kind of like overloaded that and took that as in like AVET is like.
So the reason why we got rid of AVET is because the accreditation only primarily reflects engineering programs in terms of academic content, and we thought it would also include like student affairs and student involvement, but that's not the intention of AVET. So we got rid of it because there's no relevance to supporting the Intercultural Center.
And the Middle States Commission accreditation, like we already think that like the suggestions that they put there already have in the systems.
Alright, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Alright. Liam?
In section 2, the Intercultural Center, and the first couple paragraphs at the bottom of like the introduction, you're calling for the Office of Diversity Education to be structurally separate from the Office of Undergraduate Student Life, but still part of the Office of Student Affairs. Have you talked with the Office of Diversity Education about this structural change in the administration?
Yeah, actually, we've been working with Diversity Education, the Office of Diversity Education, which is one person, Veronica. She is actually one of the people that helped us under this document. She's been super involved with this, and she's on board as well. So yeah. Also, the person who oversees student affairs is on board as well. Well, the
Jimmy?
This structuring of physical space is reflective of structuring of the Stevens organization. The Office of Diversity Education is not a part of the Office of Student Life. It is only under Student Affairs.
Exactly. And it's in, again, like, the office is in the middle of the hallway on the 10th floor, so like, yeah.
Alright, Julian?
I do want to clarify that as of right now, the Office of Diversity Education technically is not staffed at all. Like, Veronica is there, she's taking on the duties of it, but she's just a graduate. They are working on actually getting someone, so technically there is nobody to actually talk to about the position and what it does itself because there is no ink in that position.
Tell us.
This is kind of like a formatting, but there's like a lot of like, is it just this format? But
Yeah, and
the spacing is like kind of off.
Yeah, and that document that we shared, we were just hurrying up and like putting all the amendments in there, and then in the final version we cleaned it up.
Okay. Alright.
Does it list somewhere the members of the diversity inclusion?
In the top.
It does.
Very top.
Very top of here?
Yeah, sponsored by.
Vic, did you have an amendment you'd like to make?
Yeah.
I also wanted to, we can like change that to right now, right?
Yeah, you can make it.
Yeah, can we add Victoria? Sorry, bro, I love you.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Alright, we are in discussion on the motion to add Vic's name to the Diversity Inclusion Committee.
I'm part of this committee, guys.
She's part of the committee. We were just rushing.
Alright, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving to the previous question, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All in favor of adding Vic's name to the Diversity Inclusion Committee, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Alright, the motion passes, and congratulations, or no. Let's take it on. Alrighty. So we are back to the amendment.
One of the amendments is removing APO, but in the references it's still referenced. So you might want, I want to make an amendment to remove it from the references.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alright. We are now in discussion on removing.
It's higher up, it's in alphabetical order.
Okay. I'm fine, my guy.
Dylan, non-senators can't make amendments, correct?
That is true, you are not. So, okay, so someone make the motion.
I move to strike that omega reference in section 8.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alright, it is moved and seconded. We are now in discussion on eliminating this line from the amendment.
The reference.
Alright. All in favor of moving the previous question, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All in favor of removing the Alpha Phi Omega reference, say aye. All opposed, say no. Alright, it is removed. Oh. Well, I guess, okay, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it works, okay. We are now back in discussion on the amendment. Bill?
Did we ever approve changing the torch alliance reference? The section 8, because Matthew said that it was referenced to a different. Matthew got it. Did we ever approve that motion?
No, there was never a motion to change that. Steer?
Okay, I move to change the reference for Search Alliance to be for Search Alliance.
Does anyone have anything to say on this? Otherwise, I'm just going to move to a vote. Alright, all in favor of changing the link under the Torch Alliance reference to the Torch Alliance duck link URL, say aye. All opposed, say no. Alright, the ayes have it. Alright, that will be changed. Alright, we are back on this big amendment. Alright, if no one has anything to add, we will be. Lena?
On the chart on page 10, like the line bar, that's, I think it's called the line bar that asks what is your race / ethnicity. I was just a little bit confused on reading some of the numbers. Yeah, that. So like the second bar and the fourth bar, like counting starting from the top, I was just like confused what the percent correlated to.
Would someone like to clarify?
Like it's not a big
And we can amend to fix fire.
Yeah, just like for future people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, just like for future people reading this.
The second bar is for those who identify the races and ethnicity as Asian. And what was the other bar you know?
The fourth one.
Were those who identified as Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. And we can amend that.
Okay. I think those are labels on the graph. That might just be like a second
Oh, really?
I mean,
What is unfortunate?
unfortunate.
People answered me.
I see.
Right.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure how the amendment for a graph would look. You'd have to make a new graph. We can also, yeah, I think just,
Is there any way we can make another graph? Cause like someone like identified like as a dog, like is there any way we can hide like the answers that like, you know, like kind of like long
add them all to other or something.
Or just
in
like.
terms of like hiding the data, like we're not gonna do that because like that's incorrect.
Well,
There's sort of like people who are that way. But I think we can change the graph to.
Okay, cool. Also, this wouldn't have to happen in this set of amendments. I would recommend it not actually. Alright, is there any other discussion on this set of amendments? If there is none, then we will vote on the amendments. All in favor of adopting the amendments as are shown here and have been applied as secondary amendments, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Alright, the amendments are approved. And the bill looks something like this. We are now in discussion on the proclamation. Mark?
I move to table proclamation P 19-001 until next meeting.
Is there a second? Second. Alright, it's moved and seconded to postpone, I'm gonna take it to mean this proclamation until next meeting. We are in discussion on that.
Okay, I would like to speak.
Yes, sir. And please keep it.
Sorry.
No, please keep it relevant to like whether we should postpone this or not.
Yeah. So, this is like super time sensitive. I was informed by Sarah Klein that this had to be done at the end of the same weekend. She had told me like a couple weeks ago after I switched up the survey and everything. I understand that like there are gripes of like certain things, but like there's no time anymore, and like I think like this just has to be said. I think we did a really good job putting this together. I think it looks really good, and we were actually given permission to send this out by someone high up in administration. They said it looked amazing, and that we could just send it. So, and that was before even all the amendments we made right now. So I think this document is in a really good place. They know we're students. This is the first time something like this is being done. There is no guideline for us to follow. We're just doing what the best we can, like what we know how to do, like that's it. And I think it's gonna be fine. Like there have already been talks about implementing like an intercultural center. It's just we as students and as a diversity and inclusion committee, we just want to steer the conversation in the right direction. I think after we fix all those issues right now, and once the secretarial like changes are done with the proclamation, like it'll look good, it'll look fine. Like it was already fine before, it was just like those amendments before, we just have to fix that around. And then, yeah, but in terms of like us tabling it, like if we table it, they could decide what that time sensitive space fee is going to be in the university center tomorrow, and then that's it. And we wouldn't have had a chance to say what we needed to say. That's what I have to say.
Jake?
So, it's a matter of how comfortable the Senate is with allowing the clerical errors to be cleared up by the public forum tomorrow, because there are a handful of just basic errors, punctuation, spacing, formatting, consistency with italicization, consistency with word usage. But these are all things that can be cleared up in, just a 3-person meeting. We sit down, we get it taken care of in an hour. But beyond that, we've decided that the rules review should go on tomorrow. I have talked to a couple of people offline. There has been interest. I don't know at this juncture how much change is going to happen to this document. Because if the question then becomes, is this a document I personally am willing to put on the desk of Varden? My answer would be no. Not as it is right now.
Can I just, we had the rules review he wanted, that he said in the Slack meeting a couple hours ago. So a couple things on that. So, according to the Constitution and everything like that, the rules review, like that was fine, like that was it, what we just had a couple hours ago. So what I want to say is that in terms of like the formatting errors he was talking about, he did not bring that up to us in the rules review like at all. And again, this final, like the amendments thing is not how it's formatted in the final document we sent you in the other email. It's just we were rushing to get the amendments in for the meeting, and like the final document is like all good in terms of formatting. And then anything else that needs to be formatted can be done like the secretary.
The reason this was so rushed was because we got these amendments at 5 o'clock today, because the digital version of the amendments were not made available to us. All the amendments that were discussed at 5 o'clock are on the proclamation in pen and paper. So the only changes we were able to make were after the meeting ended, before this meeting started. So.
And going off of that, the committee didn't hear anything from the rules committee at all. They never reached out to the writers, the sponsors, anyone from the diversity and inclusion committee about this proclamation. And if they had reached out to us the Friday and went out to everyone, we could have done something over the weekend and had it all good to go today. But instead, we had to wait until 2 hours before the meeting to put all their amendments together, or at least what we could have end, even before the amendments, when it just went out on Thursday, we were given the green light to send this out. And everything else that is being added, like, that's just what the rules committee, or like the two people in it, said that they wanted to add and everything.
Okay, cool. I would just like to add, it's pretty normal for the secretary to like change formatting, like typos and everything after a bill's been approved. Like that's a pretty normal thing. It's not like we vote on this and then like this is the PDF, like we press send the second we approve this. Like in a lot of amendment cases and everything, there's like indentations and like numbers that aren't how the final's gonna be, but we still vote on it. And then like formatting comes later. So like typos, formatting, that stuff is going to be cleared up. I mean, like we already have to go through and like change all of the amendments to what we just voted on and everything. So like I wouldn't worry about small typos, stuff like that. Cause like if the comma's outside quotation mark, which it shouldn't be, like we can fix that without an amendment. Also, I would just like to say, remind people that we don't do lines, so just wait until someone's finished speaking and then raise your hand, I'll call it. All right, Mark?
I think it still would be in the best interest of waiting for the rules review tomorrow, considering that is how we are gonna iron it out, like in a public setting about, hey, here are the changes that need to be done to this. I understand that you guys met before this, but that wasn't really like broadcast for people that like wanna try to make this into the best form possible that it can be. And I understand that there was the situation going on of it having to be done almost like a little bit last minute with these are the errors. But if we're presenting something this big to President Bombardin and his cabinet, who might be very apprehensive towards the idea, it needs to be like as best as possible without any sort of error if we want to get any sort of audience from them. So I think it would be in the best interest, considering this is a big ask, to wait till next week, let everything get ironed out on Tuesday throughout the week, have time for senators to actually like absorb the proposed amendments and just process it and be like, do we need to add anything else? Just give it another week to sit on and make sure that that's perfect.
Jake?
So, I posted that I called for an official review at 3:52 a.m. on Saturday, which was after I'd gotten done reading this 24-page document. And then I followed up the day after at 11:43 a.m. with making this, public information, because I hadn't really thought at the time, oh wait, not everybody's in rules. My fault. Great. So, when I was contacted by the D&I committees, it was, hey, when can we arrange a meeting in person? The document was never shared with me on Google, because I could have made these clarifications. I had no access to this document, and I had 2 5-hour train rides to my home and back. Not relevant, except that I needed to print out a copy because I have no internet on the train. So that's fine. That's all well and good. Why didn't I upload the changes? Because I have had no time between making said changes, coming back. I didn't have an editable copy because you can't convert PDF to Word without paying $200 to Adobe Reader. So there are probably ways that I could have worked around that, and then I would have emailed it back to them. So I should have reached out to them beforehand. Sure, contact the records. Seems like an appropriate thing to do. I didn't think of it, that's on them. The point still stands that the rules review is going on tomorrow. There are clerical errors that need to be addressed. There are secretarial errors, there are formatting errors, most of the APA citations are straight up incorrect. So, if this is going to be done, it needs to be done right. And I do not appreciate being added like this.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said last.
I do not appreciate being acted like this.
Dakota?
So, as a collegian, since I no longer have any sway in any of this, I think this is great. Like, I think this proclamation is fantastic. I think the work that the committee has done is utterly mind-bogglingly amazing. But I don't understand, and I don't mean this as an attack to anybody, I don't understand the D&I committee's resistance to help. Something that I've just been noticing over the last little bit is there are so many people in the SGA on various different committees, from senator to cabinet member to just plebeians like myself who are willing to give input over the last month and a half that this has been going on. And I'm very happy, Yesha and Nazir, that you guys have said multiple times even, admitted that this was very rushed here at the very end. But I think that a little bit of context needs to be given, that a month and a half was given to work on this, and the SGA has only been able to see it for 4 days. And like, I agree with almost everything that's been said here, that it's important to get this into administration as fast as we can, but it's also important for it to be as professional as we can make it. And personally, I think that it's worth eating Mark's motion to move it back a week, and we can eat, like I say, anybody in this room, Nazir, the head of the committee, can go to the administration and say, hey, we have it, it's prepared, however, we would like a little bit more time because there are some imperfections with it, and we'd like to make it as professional and ironed out as possible. I think that would be a great resolution to this, give the SGA as a whole more time to look over what it is that the United Committee has done, and also appreciate the help of the senators and willing to.
Thank you. Ryan?
Yeah, I want to point out, like, to try and keep this on topic, there's a lot of balls that were dropped with this, right? I talked to Nasir, he said he had a very, very, very bare bones rough draft, albeit a rough draft of some of the framework for this, probably within the first week or two that we got back from break. None of us saw that. Obviously, I had a hard time filling rules committee. I didn't get any interest even for committee head for a couple weeks, and then trying to get people to staff the committee was also difficult. So even just getting someone to look at it would have been difficult earlier, but on that end, we probably could have taken a look at some of this, ironed it out earlier, and on their end also, you know, they were rushed, crammed on this, and, you know, the rules review was kind of sprung on them. Nobody on rules reached out to them to say, hey, we want to do a review, or hey, these are the changes we want to make. It was basically just said rules is doing a review. So I'm not going to argue who's right here. I just want it to come down to, you guys have to make a decision here. Do we want to submit this now in the interest of time to say, this is something that we think could be an issue, as Nasir stated, if we don't get this in within the next week, that the administration might designate a space, one of which is in the new university center, set up perfectly to house both the space and the offices of the diversity educator and the rest of the staff that would be working with them, or does it make more sense to make sure that this is as professional as possible? I voiced concerns over the fact that while there are people in the administration that have seen this, have given the go-ahead on it, again, there are people that this is going to get passed to that haven't seen it yet, that may not be as receptive to the idea, and if we don't give them the most professional piece of a document that we have, that doesn't look good on our part. All of you that are in the SGA know we struggle with getting traction with the administration at times, and if we look unprofessional, that's going to undermine us with the rest of what we do over the next year. So whether you want to get this done now so that it's something that we ensure that we're going to have, or if you want to make sure that we don't burn further bridges by looking it over, that's for you guys to decide, but like pick between one or the other, and that's going to be what it comes down to today.
Julian?
Mr. Kesher, do you know when the next meeting is for discussing the plan?
That's the whole problem with the deadline thing, is like, we don't know. I've asked clients several times, like, if she can give us a hard deadline, because people have been asking me this entire process, what is the deadline? Or like,
deadline for when they're discussing the specific problem, but when the next meeting that they would be discussing plans in general. You know that?
they, like, I don't know, but again, like, whenever the next meeting is, like, they could just decide it right there. I don't even know if they could decide it before that, but like, and then that's it. All I wanna say is like, again, that we were given like the green light by like a powerful person, like in administration before all the amendments happened. And we actually did have a lot of help like writing this document. We made the link public, as public as we could, I guess. We did the writing, like the proclamation writing in the Constitution, and as you told me, Dylan, when I asked you, it doesn't have to be done in this public space. And it doesn't make sense to do that either. If I was to call a whole committee meeting to write a proclamation, there are 145 people in my group meeting. And how do you think 145 people are going to work on one document? You can't even work on one document in these 6-person group projects we have here on campus.
Going on.
And so, wait, I'm not done. So like the proclamation, like I wrote it amongst people who I felt knew the most about what the center could be. And I don't know, just people I wanted to like. And then we shared the link out, and whoever was like proactive about going on the link and adding their revisions and all of that, they did. And again, like we were in a time crunch, so, and this, like, we had been saying like, we're in a time crunch, like this has to be done within the same weekend. I know it's like on our fault that we didn't go out more, we didn't have this document done like a month before it was supposed to be due, or like a couple weeks before it was due, and like send it to rules committee, but like we just had obligations, like we're students too, we have things outside of this, like, and it is what it is.
Point of order.
Right?
Let's keep discussion just solely on the merit of the proclamation. I don't care what the situation is. This is the legislation you guys are voting on. Figure out what you want to do with it.
Can I ask
I'm gonna say, like how the direction the session is going right now seems fine to me, because postponing this is basically like the biggest question here tonight. So your point of order is well taken, but I think this discussion is fine. Julian?
That's my second question. My second question was for Mark. Do you know of any precedent for proclamations being, for public forums being called for proclamations to be written? Because since I've been active in the SGA, I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it myself, but I know there is some concern about, again, how things, concerning what was called, there obviously was some concern for it, such as
Personally, I feel that since there is no precedent for proclamations to be reviewed in such like through a public forum, and that this is the reading period for which technically if it is the reading period of the SGA, that it would just be for members of the SGA to review any clerical thing that they would like to review, and to make any formats in that, and if anybody is that concerned, then they would reach out to the SGA to put their things in it. I personally feel that, again, as Dylan mentioned before, clerical and formatting errors are typically taken care of frequently by the secretary and even after things are voted upon. And I also agree with Ryan Thomas saying that either side, it has its benefits, and in the order of, like, I understand that this year and Keshav, the deadline for administration is kind of urgent, right? And I understand that it's like, this is a special case. Like, no matter how you look at it, it's a special case for multiple sides, being an A, it's such a big proclamation, B, it's on such a tight time crunch, and C, there were balls dropped, right? I feel like we have to make use of what we have, and also set, this is a learning experience for us to set guidelines for moving forward with this kind of thing, because I feel like there were balls dropped, and we need to use this as a way of making sure that we don't drop balls in the future, but we can't let what we're pushing for take a hit because of the balls that were dropped. It's still something that needs to be done.
Did you have a direct response, Mark?
No, I know that you mentioned like the nuclear.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Oh, okay.
Andrew?
Alright, so since we're mostly talking about clerical errors, typos, grammatical things, and since this is operating on a tight time scale, and since it is a special case, as you mentioned, I think we should consider approving this now, but preventing it from being sent to the administration until after the rules review tomorrow.
Correct. What I was going to say 10 minutes ago.
Right? Direct response?
Good call,
The thing that Jake and I were going to point out is, like, rules can review it after it's submitted and make those clerical changes and stuff like that. That's not an issue. The point we're talking about is, like, all of those changes that Nasir and Keisha made were, like, Jake and I haven't looked at those. Those were made after the meeting. Nobody has looked at those, so there may be bigger changes that need to be made with the document in like an overall structuring sense, in like complete wording of paragraphs, like things that are not just, oh, this is grammatically incorrect, but more in a sense of, we want to word this completely differently. So the point of question with the postponing it is, are there major, like, do we want to take the time to look through and make sure there's no major mistakes that we're missing? Because like those changes have obviously you guys are seeing them now, but you know they haven't been like thoroughly read through until this point.
Like, isn't that what this is for right now? Is to go through and see if we want to change anything? And if this is not what this is for, then what the hell is the point of us reviewing this if we're just gonna like barely look at it and then like have someone else look at it later?
That's for you guys to decide.
I would just like to say that is a completely valid point. Anyone is free to make any amendments they want right now. Though I do understand it takes time to look at a 25-page document. Alright, Ms. Sear?
I also just want to agree that that I thought that was a good idea when we said that I think it needs to be approved as soon as possible, and any major like mistakes or changes, they can be amended now, that's the whole point. But then it can be looked at again by rules and polish it up and then send it out. But again, it is time sensitive. And again, is what I keep stressing is that we are already given the green light to send this before any of the amendments.
Matt?
So first off, you keep referencing the line source, working in journalism, line source equals no source. There's no, sorry, in my opinion, there's no reason to consider that. But more broadly, I'm just curious, what forum did you send out the document for?
Speak up, please.
Sorry, I'm just trying to talk to you here. I'm wondering what forum the document was sent out for revisions to be made before it was sent to the docket, because I'm in the diversity and inclusion Slack and I didn't see anything in there posted about this document.
Julian?
Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, any proclamation was submitted to the SGA by this week was the Thursday, right? Oh, this week, yeah, Friday because of the launch.
Well, no, that says that there was time to review it.
Yeah, since the Friday was
Well,
submitted, because it is a proclamation with the SGA, so it is submitted to the SGA. If you would like to be more involved in the committee, then that's talking to Ms. here and being more involved in the committee and being present in the committee.
Oh.
In terms of reviewing it, you submitted it on the Friday to the SGA. And if you wanted to discuss something that is not related to the proclamation, you can bring it up.
So with regard to
Point of order, side chatter down, the speaker hasn't called on anyone in a long time.
Jake?
In reference to revising the document, it is my understanding and the understanding I took away from the meeting we had earlier that there was a Google Doc that was sent to specific people. I'm not entirely sure what channels it was sent along myself for revision where, and I quote, anybody could have made comments and revisions.
Ms. Sear?
So I'd just like to read this email. Okay, I just added all of my comments and suggestions on the Google Doc. Please decide how/if you want to incorporate them, and then please make sure everything I added/suggested is permanently deleted, because I did not want anyone else to know that I helped with this. As I've said to you, it's so much more powerful if it's solely coming from students. When it's final and ready, please fix the spacing and email me a clean copy in a PDF format as SGA's official submission of the proclamation. This is the process I discussed with Jason a few weeks ago. Then I will bring it to the president and count it on your behalf with my support behind it. I also just want to take this moment to say that this was beautifully done. I'm so impressed and proud of your leadership, as well as all of the work that so many students have put into this process. I teared up a little while reading it. I think your approach was perfect. I love the intro about innovation, and I know that will impact the president. I'm just so proud and honored to work with you all every day. Thank you. That's all.
Jason?
All right. During our cabinet meeting that we had a couple hours ago, we thought it was in our best interest to whatever amendments we need to make to the bill be done today. And Nazir being the chair of the committee, I think everyone could agree that no one wants it more than him and the rest of his team that he's working with. And I honestly believe if Nazir feels comfortable passing this proclamation, no matter how perfect or imperfect it is, he will have the results that the administration come to. And if we pass a bill and it doesn't look right and they say it's unprofessional, we don't agree with it, then Nazir, I'm sorry, but you can take full blame on that. But right now, if we pass the bill, the Rules Committee can look out tomorrow, they can easily get it by the end of the day. And there will be no problem, it's small grammatical errors, and whatever reason and distinction they believe that a paragraph should be rewritten, that's up to them, and Nazir, I'm sure, will be there to approve it. Now, if Nazir, being the head of the committee, and the bill does not get passed due to grammatical errors, then I think Nazir will be allowed to live with that the bill is not, or the proclamation is not passed due to grammatical errors. Whatever happens with this proclamation will not be because of grammatical errors.
Jimmy?
So I think we're past the discussion of whether grammatical errors are an issue or not. But it comes down to the review of the Rules Committee tomorrow or sometime in the very near future. And I want to point out a section of our constitutional bylaws that I think gave us a little bit of wiggle room on this. So in section 3.5 of our Constitution, it says the President has the ability to veto a proclamation within 72 hours of its passage. So one thing we can do today is if we think we are comfortable and we think that this is good enough to put before the Rules Committee, which I think, considering no one's brought up any specific issues, it is. As far as our current insight has it. And if we get to the Rules Committee review and it is determined by the Rules Committee that it is not acceptable and that Jason agrees with their ruling there, then Jason, with the written explanation that he does not believe that the current wording or the current structure is in keeping with the rules of the Student Government Association, then he can veto that and we can come back to it and it will be as if we had postponed it for next week. But right now we're in a very circular conversation. I don't think we really comment too much. And since no one's brought up any points specifically that gives them unease, I think we should pass it and let the President veto it if the Rules Committee deems it unfit to pass.
So, I understand and I agree with the way that this is going so far, but I do have a couple of questions as far as like how that's going to go procedure-wise. With the rules meeting is not intended to pass or fail the document. It's just intended to revise it. That being said, if the President vetoes it, and we meet and like I don't even know how to formulate this thought properly because I'm very stressed in right now. If it gets tabled for next week, the revisions that we make would go on it. Am I correct? Okay. So if we make any revisions, then would that satisfy or would that negate the veto?
If they're small grammatical and whatever errors you index.
Grammatical errors.
Correct. It's under the terms of the Secretary. That's you.
I think, say
It's under Constitution and Bylaws Committee.
Have we made any substantial amendments to the operations and rules committee since this has been updated already, so I won't look for that. I was just wondering how the changes got implemented. Alright, would you like to speak on that, Matthew?
Oh yeah, you can't make changes to a bill once it's passed.
Okay, so just so we're all on the same page, so what Jimmy proposed is that we pass this, and then if the rules committee doesn't like it, they tell Jason, and Jason decides, okay, I want to veto this. If in that case the Senate could, by 2/3 rule, like override that veto, but there would be no changes made to the bill. And if it failed, if appealing the veto failed, then this would be completely dead, and we could not bring up this proclamation for a vote again in the session. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Although someone can obviously make that motion. Actually, okay. Alina?
People know that they have amendments they want to make. Can we just start making them now instead of keeping talking about are we postponing this or not?
We can. Yes, Mr.
I also just want to emphasize that because everybody's saying they have gripes with the document, but I haven't heard about anybody's gripes on it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it.
Okay, so if people want to start making amendments, we should definitely vote on postponing this because other motions don't take precedence of the motion to postpone. All right, if there is no more discussion on the motion to postpone this, we will put it to a vote. Right?
Can I get a straw poll, just like any hands on
We don't do
anyone
straw
that
polls.
we don't do straw polls? Okay.
All right. Does anyone have anything else? Does anyone have anything else to say on postponing this bill? All right. Are we ready for the question? All in favor of postponing the discussion of Proclamation P19S001 until next week, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
Can we get hands on that? All in favor of postponing this discussion of the proclamation until next week, please raise your hands. All opposed, please raise your hands. All right, the motion fails. We are in discussion of this motion. Matt?
So I just want to bring attention to section 2, subsection A, community support. Out of 880 responses, 93.8% of respondents answered yes to the creation of the Intercultural Center. It's about a quarter of the undergraduate student body. At an earlier point in this, it was referenced that only 813 responses were undergraduates, and I think that should be fixed, but I have no power to do that.
So, what did you say, 817?
813, I believe, is the number referenced in terms of actual undergraduate student responses.
If the senator would like to make the motion to amend the instance of 887 to 813 here.
Well, I don't know that the percentage is correct either, because the whole statistic would be faulty.
Jay?
Can you scroll down just a little bit? I motion to remove, no. Scroll up. I motion to remove, this is about a quarter of the undergraduate student body.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion on the motion. To remove the sentence, this is about a quarter of the undergraduate student body. Jake?
I'd like to justify why. This will still work because it is literally correct, because 93.8% of all respondents did answer yes to the creation of an Intercultural Center. This was something that came up in our meeting was, can we break down the statistics further with regards to certain certain demographics? The answer was, if it can be exported to an Excel document, I believe it can. Can it be exported to an Excel document?
That was not the answer.
Okay.
That wasn't by indication or by answer. We said that the demographics didn't really matter in picking on the answer.
Right, but it's not a matter of have they been, it's a matter of can. So removing this will satisfy the literal correctness of that statement.
Instead of doing that, can we just change it to a quarter of the students' community, because that would encompass alumni, faculty, and staff?
It would be, if the quarter of the undergraduate student body is still right, it's just the 887 responses, we just have to change that to out of 813 undergraduate student responses. So this amendment we're in right now, we shouldn't do it.
All right, so Nasir is recommending that we vote down this amendment and that he would propose his own, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Jason?
You would have to completely re-look at the data because
of the people that voted yes, you have to see how many are undergraduates. They're not the same set of data. So you can't just change the numbers. You have to actually go back into the Excel spreadsheet and do calculations.
As maybe another suggestion on my topic for this is that maybe moving this section to like where you say that there were 813 student responses and say that that is a quarter of the student body, that would like it would make sense to place that there because that information is relevant over there but not quite over here.
So that would be a secondary amendment if anyone wants to make that.
Dylan, can you just make sure that like people only speak when you call them? It helps me with the minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so we are in discussion on removing, this is about a quarter of the undergraduate student body. Is there any more discussion on this motion? Jimmy?
I believe the current wording is misleading, but I think we can modify it very slightly to make it more, or rather, the current wording is not true, because that group that said that 95% of 87 is numerically equivalent to a quarter of the undergraduate student body. It's just that that isn't necessarily the same group. So I would actually I'm going to make a motion to I move to amend that this is about a quarter of the undergraduate student body to this is equivalent to 1/4 of the undergraduate student body.
We're already in the middle of a motion.
Oh sure. Well, I can make a second. We can. Can I? Oh no. Right. That's true.
So, well, secondary amendments are like kind of hard to conceptualize.
Okay.
Because.
We're gonna vote on that.
Yeah, let's vote on this, and then if you want to make that change.
Okay.
All right. Is there any more discussion on the amendment to strike? This is about a quarter of this undergraduate student body. If there is none, we will vote on it. All in favor of striking the words, this is about a quarter of the undergraduate student body, please say aye. All opposed, say no. All right, the motion fails, and this is a quarter of the undergraduate student body remains in the text. Further amendments, Sir.
I think if we do this, like it's gonna go on all night, and it's not gonna be productive. So, Aisha and I just think, just postpone the vote because, like, we already like said our arguments. Like this is time sensitive, and I read out the email, but this is just gonna go on all night. Like, I'm not gonna do this back and forth thing over and over. We'll take the help from Wolves. We'll give it to whoever needs it to be reviewed. We'll speak to Sarah Klein to see what she can do to like postpone talks on that time sensitive space. But I'm not doing this back and forth, so I think we should just postpone it.
Liam?
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you cannot make the same motion twice in a meeting if it failed the first time.
If the context is substantially different, you can. In this case, I would say like, since we put down the motion to postpone it, but then we had more conversation, we saw it would be unfeasible to actually go through right now and make all these amendments. I think another motion to postpone would be, acceptable in this case. But that is clear. Alina?
Do you know when, like, are they meeting tomorrow to talk about this? Like, the president has the power to schedule an emergency meeting of the Senate, and there's academic break Monday 3 to 5. So theoretically, if you wanted to postpone this and have the look at it tomorrow, we can even meet on Wednesday during academic break during his office hours to vote yes on the proclamation.
Yes, I totally agree that we should do that because, again, like I have no idea like whether we can vote on this. They can literally vote on it this week and then that's it. Like there's no point.
Jason?
If you do that, you might just not have quorum. So I just recommend doing it on Sunday. Because I know I can't go. Probably a lot of other senators and previous candidates.
Can we at least try? Like,
My hand was
Okay.
Can we do a straw poll now?
Jimmy?
One parliamentary procedure. Can the Senate convene outside of its normal meeting times?
We can do adjourned meetings, I believe, unless they're not specified in our bylaws. Matthew? Sorry. Alina?
The same section of the Constitution you previously pulled up with president, it says that the president can mandate a scheduled meeting, like an emergency Senate meeting, as long as we're not in recess, which we're not.
That is true.
section 2.5B, emergency meetings. I wrote this last year thinking it would never be. Yes. So excited. So the quorum requirements for emergency meetings are much less. You only need a majority of all senators rather than 2/3. So it's easier.
All right. Okay, so just so we're all on the same page, it is a possibility if we want to roll this out quicker than next meeting, we can call for a special meeting. Is that President does that? An emergency meeting and convene sooner just to talk about this bill in particular, not full normal meeting. And that is a yes.
There's also non-SGA member, is the rules for that's happening tomorrow, there's what's happening regarding this meeting, but is the purpose of that to fully look at the document, or like what kind of changes can you make to it, I just don't like get what the purpose, like I just want clarity.
Jake has head of the rules committee.
So, the Rules Committee meeting, I'll just read to you the official power because it's fairly succinct. Let me scroll through it. The committee shall, upon the request of the senator, be charged with reviewing any legislation intended to be presented to the Senate. The committee shall ensure that the legislation meets the requirements set forth in section 1.3, which it does, that's fine. Is grammatically correct and coherent, does not conflict with the Constitution or bylaws of the SGA where not intended, it does, it's fine. And offer other objective assistance to ensure the wording of the legislation is aligned with its purpose. So, the meeting tomorrow is mostly just for the grammar and clerical stuff, and it is intended to be a full review of the document just to make sure that we have all of our bases covered, that there's no egregious errors and oversights that we missed, or any misinterpretations, and also to tweak the wording, if necessary, to be more in line with our
And so I believe those would take the form of a recommendation to the Senate as a whole in the form of amendments at the meeting.
Works for me.
All right, we're in discussion on this bill. Alina?
Question for Jason. Would you be open to calling an emergency Senate meeting on Wednesdays during the office hours?
Right now, we're reserving a room where we can have more than an hour of time, so now we are going to move it to Charter 118 instead of Kitty.
I was just asking, like, would you be open to
Yeah.
calling it up?
All right, Mark?
I just want to point out, in the interest of time, another organization has this room booked at 9 p.m.
Madison, 15 minutes. Thank you. All right. So, I guess the options we have open to us are to postpone this bill until next week, or to have Jason call a special meeting. Jason.
I move to postpone this bill until the next Senate meeting.
Second.
I'm not going to entertain that motion because I see what you're trying to do there, because but that wouldn't apply to the emergency meeting. The emergency meeting has to be created with like a specific purpose in mind. It's not just like a general normal meeting. So if Jason calls an emergency meeting, that would be like, we would obviously just address this there. But if you say postpone it until the next meeting, that would be like the next normal meeting, that would be something. Unless that's the motion you actually want to make. You were take back the motion. Jake?
Dylan, how do we phrase this? You're a former parliamentarian. You know better than anyone else.
Okay, so. Well, I've never had to do an emergency meeting. Okay, so if you want to postpone it until next week, you just say, like, I would entertain the motion. I move to postpone the discussion of this bill until next week. Liam, what would you like to say?
We can table. That's different from postponing. Right?
Here's
Jake.
Sorry. Is it possible for the emergency meeting to be convened to address a document that is slated on the document for the next meeting? Because if so, then I see no conflict with just tabling it, because that just puts it back on the docket. At least that's my understanding of it.
Dylan, can we just say you motion to put it on like the emergency meeting agenda, and then he says that we're having an emergency meeting?
I think so. We have, okay, we're in uncharted waters because I've never had to deal with this situation.
It's not very specific.
Dakota has And then they
Pretty much like I did.
Resolving the motion that we're in, does that mean it just opens up the next emergency meeting?
That is a really good point. It does.
There you go.
Oh, well, in that case.
Yes. Jason?
Wait.
Okay, hold on. Before we do that,
Sorry. Discussion stuff I wanted to bring up.
we do have discussion stuff.
I can wait, it's fine. If you have to.
I literally
We
don't
have
know.
10 minutes left.
It's fine,
Are we
forget
in
it.
the middle of a motion right now?
Yeah.
Which one?
Liam.
We can recess. We can recess until Jason calls us back. This would be on Wednesday.
Maybe.
That was really creepy.
You can't do it. It says you can't call an emergency when it's in recess.
Yeah.
That is true. Wait, vote until Wednesday. Okay, what I'm gonna say, okay, Jason, can you call an emergency meeting right now, and then we'll postpone this until then?
I declare an emergency meeting on Wednesday, February
Have we booked the room?
20th
we
for
just
Chart
booked the room.
118
All right.
at 3 o'clock.
Okay, hold on.
Be there.
Okay, hold on. What is the date?
I typed
February
the
20th. 3 o'clock for Chart 118.
The office.
Right. Okay, everybody, take note of this. We are having this now. Now, if someone would like to move to postpone the discussion of this bill until Wednesday, they can do that. Jason.
I move to postpone the discussion of this bill until Wednesday, February 20th at 3 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Does anyone have anything to say on that? All right, all in favor of postponing discussion of the bill until Wednesday at 3 p.m. say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, the motion is postponed until then. We are in new business.
Yeah, go. You don't have to leave.
All right, we're in discussion. Julian.
This is for like, I forget exactly what it is called, but the one that works with like campsite. Oh, TLC, right? Yeah. I've noticed just a lot of the water bottle fillers having issues over the last couple weeks. Kind of when it breaks. I don't know if that's something that you have to work on. Because I know y'all like put in a lot of work to get them on campus. So it's kind of a shame if they don't work.
Anyone would like to directly respond to that? Lena?
I think that might actually be a work order that has to be completed by facilities. Some of them have like scanning things that they're not working.
No, I literally
We're back in discussion.
So, I'm not gonna do it because I thought we would have time, but we don't. So, if anyone had any thoughts on the finals being condensed to 1 week and 3 hours, come talk to me about it offline, and I'll bring up your concerns to the vice provost. Thanks.
Liam?
I just want to say, guys, we actually made history here today. Because in all the years I've been on the SGA, we've never called it an emergency meeting. And I've never heard of it actually happening.
Yeah.
So, we made history.
All right. Can I just say, Mark? I was just gonna say, all right. So this was kind of like crazy. Definitely uncharted territory. But we got it figured out. I'll see you guys on Wednesday at 3.
No.
We're not adjourned yet. I'm just saying stuff. Also, I just want to say this is like really dramatic, but super good. Because like, this means y'all care a lot about this stuff. And y'all are sitting here, and like the work by the Diversity and Inclusion Committee is just like amazing. How much Jake cares about this is also amazing. So good work all around. All right, Jake.
Motion to close?
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,